So thank you. Welcome everyone to this training on the Ocean Virtual Lab tools, which are tools for visualization and analysis to explore multi-sensor and multimodal data synergy. We are today 3 of the OVL team present here. Fabrice Collard, who you already met last week, Ziad, if you want to present yourself.
Yes, I'm Ziad, the software engineer here at OceanDataLab. I work on most of the ODL tools for visualizing data and most of what we will talk about today.
Thank you, Ziad. And myself, Lucille Gaultier. I'm a research engineer at OceanDataLab, and I work on data processing and synergy between data, and I will be on board also the ship to help you handling all the data. So today we will talk about the OVL tools that you will be using during the training course, and we will teach you how to use them. There will be several practicals where we can learn more about the different functionalities, and also, of course, you will use them on board the ship. So we will start with an overview of the OVL tools, and then we'll have a description of the OVL portal, followed by a practical on how to use it, and you will do the work yourself. Then we'll have a break, and we'll carry on with a description of SEAScope and a practical so that you can add your data and use SEAScope. So the slides for the first part are on the Google Share, and the link is on the chat. And we will also post polls during the training. And the first one will be to ask you questions about the data that we have shared during the weekend to see if everything is okay for you. Okay. So first, a bit of history for the OVL tools. About the challenges, we have more and more satellite data that are available at very high resolution and that are very heavy and difficult to process. And so the question was how to help researchers to benefit from the synergy from all of this data, and also how to easily intercompare them and the different geophysical variables such as vectorial currents, SAR images, SST images, and so on. And to do that, we developed the OVL tools to provide a solution that help the handling and analyzing of a wide variety of ocean datasets, collocating them in time and space, and enabling an integrated view of ocean structures. And so this interface allows users to visualize and explore the different dynamic ocean processes through different layers, but also using feature-based ocean analysis using the drawing capabilities and exploit a variety of geophysical variables. The first tool we are going to see is the OVL portal. So it's a web link accessible through most browsers, fully accessible at ovl.oceandatalab.com. It is powered by the open source software Syntool, and data are projected in Mercator and tiled. There is also support for drawing annotation and synoptic chart, and annotation can be imported and exported. We have now more than 200 products that are included, with more than 450 terabytes of images and JSON files. And more data are added every day, including near real-time datasets. For SEAScope, this is an application that is also free and open source, and it can be installed on Linux, macOS, and Windows. This time it's a 3D Earth, so you have no data projection, and you have a dynamical rendering as you are directly accessing the files. Python packages are available, enabling you to convert your own data into the specific SEAScope.NET CDF format, and also to have a two-way communication to interact easily with SEAScope. And the application can be downloaded on SEAScope.oceandatalab.com website. This is an example on how you can work between the OVL tools and between the OVL portal and SEAScope. So for example, you are exploring data and you find an interesting case on the OVL portal. So first you can choose to annotate using the drawing tools, and then you want to discuss it with other people or to share it publicly, and so you can share it using SeaShot. But then if you want to analyze further your interesting case, you can use the OVL portal to get the link of the data sets, download the data, convert the data using the SEAScope converter, and then you can work on improving the rendering in SEAScope, and using Python binding, you can also analyze data further in a Jupyter notebook. So now we are going to talk about the OVL tools, and after the break, we are going to talk about SEAScope. So the OVL online portal is available at ovl.oceandatalab.com without any login or password. And we are going to have a look at the main functionalities, how-tos, the shape, and how to get linked to download data. But we have many more tutorial videos that can be found on our YouTube channel. As you have the presentation on the SharePoint, you have all the links if you want to have a look later on. So this is workflow showing you how the OVL portal can be used. So first, you open ovl.oceandatalab.com portal, and you see that you have a calendar at the bottom where you can click on the date or scroll on the timeline to choose your perfect dates. And then you can either use the scroll or the plus and minus button to go to your area and scroll in the Mediterranean Sea, for example. The display data show you the products that are already selected, but clicking on the products button on the left, you can have a look at all the products that are available and tick the one you want to choose, for example, the chlorophyll from Sentinel-3. You can also use the search tool to look, for example, for SLSTR and choose the SST to compare with the chlorophyll. Once you are done, you can close the panel clicking on the product button. If you click on the collocation button, you will see in red all the data that are available at the same day. If you deploy the timeline, you can have a closer look and scroll to see better the product available. Also, you can hover over the different products to look at the product name. You can go back to the display data and play with the order of layer by using a drag and drop and put the chlorophyll, for example, on top. You have also drawing capabilities on the upper right panel. So here we are drawing an eddy where we can see on the chlorophyll an eddy structure, and you can edit the properties on the selection info panel. You can also scroll on the opacity wheel to play with the transparency. So for example, here we are zooming in an interesting areas and we want to compare SAR information with Sentinel-3 information. And so playing with the wheel, we can reveal the chlorophyll and draw a front where we see a front here. And then we want to set the opacity back to 100% to the SAR product. And so again, we use the wheel to put it back to 100% and see the displacement of the front and how it's seen on both of the data. You can also choose to unclick the product in the display data panel and look at the SST in the same area. We have other drawing tools also. For example, you have the polygon that can also be helpful to draw an eddy very closely to what you can see on the different data. Finally, if you want to extract data, you can click on the granule you want. And there is a panel, selection info panel, where you can see information and also a link to get the data. And you go to the provider of the data to download the original file. The last thing is a time span that you can change to display as many data as you want for a week, for example, and cover the entire area. Okay, so
Lucille, can I just make one comment?
Yes.
If you go back to the previous image.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you did show nicely this clockwise rotating eddy in the ocean color image. But what some curious eyes may have seen is that this eddy doesn't agree with the circulation structure derived from altimetry.
Yes, and that
so you should ask yourself a question: what's going on?
Yes. Do you want me to answer the question, or should we?
Well, we can ask the students, or we can ask because this we will see over and over again, and there is some kind of a message in this that we need to be very clear on.
Yes, but maybe the student can think about that, and then during the practical, we will see it again.
Okay.
Perfect. In the next following slides, these are just kind of a tutorial for you to remember the different features we have seen in the video. So this is why we've shared the presentation, so that you can go back and have a look on how you do the different features. So this is a very basic features about selecting a date, a product, a search field. And then we have the timeline and time control that enables you to either change the time span, see what is the current date that is displayed, and deploy the timeline to see a bit more deeper the different datasets that are available. The collocation and availability, so the button C in red when you click on it, enables you to see dates in red where all the data are available, in white when at least one of the data is available, and in gray no data are available. Transparency and order of layer, as we have seen on the video, so you have the transparency control wheel that you can scroll on or interact by clicking on it, and you have the drag and drop to change the order of layer capability. Something that we didn't show yet that is still important to analyze data is the measuring distance tool. So you hold Shift plus click and drag, and you will measure, for example, here, the distance of an eddy, which will be very important when we will want to track eddies along the ship trajectory. You can also use this hold Shift and click and drag for drawing a transect, and so clicking on the wheel on the upper panel, you will open a window where you can execute and plot your transect and intercompare several data. For example, here, a clear anti-correlation between the SST and the chlorophyll evolution. And you have the drawing tools. So on the upper right panel, where you have the different draw a line, draw an eddy tools. And don't forget that if you deselect the user shape, you can always reselect them under the annotation section in the product panel. You can also import and export annotation. So you have both buttons over there so that you can also import, export shapes, but also all your preference on data such as hotspots that you have done on your computer. The very important thing if you want to get the data for SEAScope is to download the original data. So clicking on the datasets, you click on the data access to deploy the data access panel. and you will get the Get Data button. And for some provider, you will need to log in, of course. So the last thing is the data extraction for analysis. So OVL portal has not been made for quantitative analysis, but still you can actually retrieve relevant information by extracting Python objects using the extraction tool. And so, for example, here we have selected Sentinel-1 SAR products, and we have clicked on the cog wheel on the upper right part. You click on the NPI to say that you want an MP object, and with hold-shift click, again, you can select your area where you want to extract your data. Click on execute, and you will get a download link for your NPI data. And this way, using Python, you can analyze what you can see on the screen.
While exploring the data available on the OVL portal, you are bound to find interesting cases, like this observation of the tropical cyclone Hillary while heading towards California in August of last year, along with a white line annotation tracking the cyclone's movement. When you do, you might want to create a hotspot to save it for later. You might also want to share it. Some will be tempted to just take a screenshot and send it. This is less than ideal for anyone on the receiving end, as they can't open it in OVL to explore further. But I know y'all are smart. Smart people will use the share button to get a short link and send it along with the screenshot. Hell, I'm sure you'll even use the Shift F to hide the interface menus and buttons before taking the screenshot. Sadly, anyone that opens the link will be missing your annotations, as they can't be included in the link. This is what drove us to develop SeaShot, the online platform for sharing such observations. To use it, first click on the camera button up top, then fill in the title and other information and click Create. It's that easy. After publishing the post on SeaShot, you can send out the link to anyone. Posts on SeaShot allow you to easily see the observation date and, more importantly, to click on Open and go straight into OVL to explore further with annotations. Sharing by email or on X can be done straight from the Share menu. We even took it a step further, allowing you to just as easily create and share time-lapse animations, for those times where a single image isn't enough to show the geographical phenomenon. A small play icon on the top left corner indicates an animated preview. Placing the mouse cursor over the preview plays the animation in a loop. Another feature of SeaShot is the ability to see at a glance the list of products included in the preview. We would love to hear your feedback on what you like and, more importantly, what you don't like about SeaShot by email or on our forums.
Thank you, Thomas, Ziad. And so now we will move out to the practical with Fabrice, who is Dr. Fab, who is going to show you the practicals. And he put a link on the chat so that to help you to start with Fab.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So I just put a link in the chat to get you started on the OVL portal. So you just need to open, to click, and then there will be a small blue button open, and then you will be able to end up in this window. I will show you now.
You should maybe stop sharing.
Oh, yeah.
Copy. Yeah. Copier. I'm trying to share the same screen that you should be able to see. Okay, so now it should work. Okay, so this is the Ocean Virtual Lab portal where we have.
We cannot see your screen, Fab.
You cannot see it. Okay.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
It's good.
So what you have now is a view of the portal that you get from a C-shot that was presented by Ziad. So actually, there are two different products. You can zoom to the northern Norway. You know, so you have the chlorophyll concentration from Sentinel-3 that is already selected. So for you see for the A and B satellite, and you have a shape which is the actual preliminary plan for the station during the cruise. Okay, so you can zoom to see how it is. So here, what we have is the selection for 1 day. So you see it's April 27 in 2024. So you see that a large part is missing, and that's due to the cloud coverage. So if you want to have a larger view of what is going on around, you might need to create some kind of mosaic between several days. So that's possible by changing the time span at the bottom left of the screen. So by default, it's daily, but you can move it to 3 days or weekly. For example, if you click on 3 days, you see that the coverage is increasing, but still you have some missing data because it's a quite cloudy period at the end of April. So if you go to weekly, then you start to have a much larger coverage. And then you see that at this time of the year, I don't know it will be the same next year, but it's very likely to have this huge bloom of chlorophyll in the Norwegian Sea. And if we want to look at what are the ocean currents as seen by satellite altimeters, we can add some products. So if you go to the products area on the left, you click on product, and then you can search. You can type geostrophy or geos at least. And the first product is the geostrophic current streamline from Globe Current CMEMS. And this will toggle the appearance of the streamlines, the white streamlines. And you see that there is an eddy at around ST03, the station 3, that we might aim to visit, and that's the Lofoten eddy. So it's a quite stationary eddy that is very interesting in terms of dynamics, and we might be interested to the station on this one. So now we will continue along along the path of the ship. So we might go back to daily coverage so that we don't need to load as many data, and continue. And then we arrive in Reykjavik, where we have a lot of small eddies in the south of Iceland. And you see that these small eddies are too small to be seen by altimeter, because the altimeter are just measuring a long track. And so there are very likely no tracks crossing the small eddies, like in the middle. And then you see that the wide streamlines are very low resolution, and they do not take into account, they will not resolve the small eddies that you see in the chlorophyll concentration here. Okay, so now we will change the date to some, let's say we can go down in the Atlantic, okay, and reach the Gibraltar Strait. So since we will arrive in end of May, early June, you can change the date to June 3, for instance. So on the timeline on the bottom, you click on June, and then on day 3, okay, so now you can zoom on the Alboran Sea, just to the east of Gibraltar Strait. Okay, so here let's say that you want to show only the Sentinel-1, the Sentinel-3 B platform. So Sentinel-3 is a constellation of 2 missions, so 2 satellites. And so if we want only to see the B platform, you just unselect the A button in the display data under the chlorophyll A All-C Sentinel-3 concentration. And if you want to add some more transparency on the streamlines to better see the chlorophyll, you can click on the semicircle, and then with the slider you can decrease the transparency. And the same for the chlorophyll. You can click on the transparency semicircle, and there is a slider. You can increase the transparency. You can increase to 100% the chlorophyll concentration. Okay. So now we will try to add some new data. So we want to add the sea surface temperature from Sentinel-3. So we go back to products, and we can type, for example, SST. So here you see that you have a large number of SST products. So you can type SST, SLSTR, which is the sensor on board Sentinel-3. Then you see that 3 products are containing SST from SLSTR. You can select the third one. The first 2 ones are level 4 products, where it's a combination of Sentinel-3 and other sensors. Okay. So then you have the Sentinel-3 SST displayed, and you can see that the main, the large eddies in the Mediterranean Sea are well depicted by the altimeter current and the SST. Okay, but when you go towards the Balear Island, and then you see you continue towards Nice. You see that just on north of the Balear Island, you have again some smaller eddies. So you need to give time to the application to load the data, because we are probably many of us connected at the same time, and so it takes time to load the data. And here you see that you have some small eddies. When I say small, like we can measure the diameter. So for instance, if you press the shift button of your keyboard, and then with the mouse, you drag and drop across the eddy, and then you can estimate. Here it's 50 kilometers. And you see that this 50 kilometer eddy starts to be too small to be seen by altimetry current, the globe current geostrophic. Okay. And if you want to, if you want
I guess, Fab, that you could also say that if you look at the altimeter track, I mean, it could also be that it is not having a very close pass over that small guy.
Yes, you're right. Actually, we can show the altimeter tracks. So the altimeter tracks.
Yeah.
So if you go to products, and then you type sea level anomaly SLA, you see you have a number of altimeters, and you can basically select all these one, and you will see which are the altimeter tracks. And so you see that okay, we have to give time to the server to load the data, because we are selecting many layers now. But we see that there are very little altimeter tracks on this day. So I have to load. Okay. So now I've loaded most of the altimeter tracks that are available, and you see that on a given day there are very little altimeter tracks. So and this, especially this eddy was not sensed by the altimeter tracks. So I just remove them for now, and just wanted to show you that you can also, from the display panel on the display data panel, you can also move the different layers. For example, you can take the chlorophyll concentration layer at the bottom, and you can drag and drop on top of the SST, and so it will change the layer order. Okay, so this is an easy way to, if you don't want to play with the transparency, you can just change the layer order just by drag and drop the layers inside the display data panel. And finally, I can show you how to export, for example, a shape. So you have some ability to draw some shape. So this we will show you in some later trainings. But for instance, if you click on the ship trajectory, I mean the preliminary trajectory. So if it's, when you select it, it will become red. And then you should have a small panel on the upper right that provides information on this shape. And you have next to the duplicate, you have a small button to export it. So if you click on export, you can choose the format. So you can export in KML if you want to see it in Google Earth, or you can export in shape JSON. Okay, and when you do that, for shape JSON, it exports in a format that you can later import in SEAScope. So this will be something that we will use, maybe not today, but in the course of the trainings.
Fab, can you explain how the SLA map is retrieved from the altimeter? There is a question in the chat.
Sure. So what we can do for that, we can remove everything but the geostrophic surface current streamlines. Okay. And then we put all the sea level anomaly altimeter tracks.
So this will take a lot of load on the server. So for now, you can look at what Fab is doing and do that later so that the server can handle this heavy task.
In fact, from all these altimeter tracks over a couple days, so here it's 1 day, but I can put 1 week, for instance, and you see that if you put over 1 week, of course, the structures are and the surface current is evolving, but is evolving quite slowly. So after 1 week, you still have some consistency, but you see that you have a lot of gaps. Okay, so what the algorithm is doing is estimating a map. So as is shown here, so it's an optimal interpolation in between all the altimeter tracks for a given time period. So it's a Gaussian window, but it's about 1 or 2 weeks long. And then from this optimal interpolated sea level anomaly map, then with the geostrophic approximation, the geostrophic current is estimated as basically the gradients of these sea level maps. So I see a question about the platform A and platform B. So these are exactly the same sensors. So it's a total replica, the same 2 satellites and the same sensors. So the reason for having 2 platforms is to increase the spatial and time coverage. And is there a way to adjust the color bar? Not with this tool, not for the moment, but on the SEAScope tool, this is something that is possible, and I will show you after the break.
Maybe, Fab, you can also say that when you have this sea surface height map, and you see these eddies that have diameter of 50 kilometers and more, you don't need to pass them every day in order to sort of monitor them, because they have they last for several weeks to months, and they have also very sort of minor.
Yeah, they're exactly
properties from one to the next.
They have a time persistence of a couple of several days and weeks for the larger one, and so and that's how by using observation, the altimeter tracks over weeks allow to map them. But you see there are some very large gaps even in between. Sometimes gaps of the order of 80 kilometers. So it's very likely that if you have an eddy of 50 kilometer diameter in one of these gaps, you will never be able to resolve it with this constellation. But everything larger than 100 kilometers cannot be missed with this with the present constellation. So that's why also there is a tendency to develop wide swath altimeters, is to have instead of having just the sea level under the satellite track, you can have some swath widths. So then you have a 2D mapping, an instantaneous 2D mapping of the sea level anomaly. So for now, it's only one exploratory satellite, SWOT, and Sentinel-3 next generation will be a SWOT altimeter. So when this SWOT altimeter flies over a small eddy, it will be able to resolve it. So if there are no more questions, maybe we can have the 20-minute break, and then we reconvene for the SEAScope session.
And so if you have not downloaded the light sample compressed folder that we have shared during the weekend, you can do that during the break. It's not very heavy, it's 100 megabytes.
So then we reconvene at 5:30, right?
Yes.
I will have to leave a little bit early. We're around about 10 to 6. Looks good. Looks really nice.
So if you have questions when you play with the tool, feel free to ask the question in the chat even during the break, and we'll get back to you on that.
So Samantha has raised a question about the annotation. How do we erase the annotation we made?
So if you press the shift button that you use to make the measurement, and you just do one left click, it will erase the annotation.
I think the question was about annotations drawn by the user, not measuring tool, but I'm not sure 100%.
I think it was, from what I see, it was written the size of the eddy, but yeah. Maybe I missed something.
I think Samantha has already left for the break.
So while Lucille is answering some question in the chat, I start for the next session on SEAScope. So we'll have a first overview of what SEAScope can do, and then a practical with you to verify that everything has been installed and to add new data in SEAScope. So I just recall that SEAScope, compared to the OVEL portal, is really aiming at analyzing the data in a quantitative manner, therefore having access to the full data files rather than just the preview image. So it's composed of a viewer that you must have installed already, and a Python package for interaction with Jupyter notebooks. So in terms of data that can be opened with SEAScope, we have a specific NetCDF format called IDF that contains ground control points, GCPs, that are used to load very heavy and high resolution data like Sentinel-1 or Sentinel-2
but we are also compliant with most NetCF files that are on a regular grid without the need to transform it in IDF. But we also provide an IDF converter from most data format available and as a separate Python package. So SEAScope, as you probably already aware because you've downloaded it, is freely available together with several data samples in the IDF format already. And the Python bindings PCScope is a standard Python package that enables the two-way communication between SEAScope and the Jupyter notebooks. So when you open SEAScope, what you have on the right is once you have ingested the data into SEAScope, you can see the list of data that are available on your local directory. And so you have a list of products with each of them as a list of variables. And then on the bottom part, you have a calendar view, which is quite close to what you have in the OVL portal. So here, when you have the dates in gray are when you have no data available. In white is when you have at least one of the product available, and green is when you have all the data selected available for this date. So you also have a display data panel, very similar to the one in the OVL portal. But I will show you later that you can do a little bit more than with the OVL portal, so you can change the color palette and the min and max range. So if you select one of the layer in the display data panel, so on the right side you have a small wheel. If you click on the wheel, it opens an area that you can use to change the minimum and maximum value, but also you can change the color palette by right-clicking on the palette, and you can change it. There are several palettes available, but you can add some if you want. There is a color palette directory in the SEAScope directory. And so you can also drag and drop the layers as in the OVL portal to exchange the order. And you also can change the transparency the same way by hovering over the small semicircle and scroll with the mouse to change the transparency. So there are also some drawing tool capabilities, point, polyline, polygons, and some import-export options. So on the bottom part of on the left part of the timeline, you see that you can also modify the time span in a similar way as in the OVL portal. You can you have a way to move the time step by a predefined time difference. And so this you can do either by clicking on this button or with the left and right arrow of your keyboard. And you also have a display of the current date and time at the center of the timeline. Okay, so this is a small video to show you how to display data in SEAScope. So here you see the 3D Earth that is empty. You see the 3D Earth that is empty when you start when you open the tool, and then you can select one of the layers and find a date where you have some data. So it's the white date. And then you see you have three different granules of this Sentinel-3 Olshi in true color. And you can add here the sea surface temperature from the same Sentinel-3 platform, but different sensor. So it's SLSTR. And then you see you can, by hovering with the mouse, you can play to, you can scroll to change the transparency. And you see that you can also scroll on the min-max value to optimize the contrast of your display. And then you can play again with the transparency. Then we can add also some streamlines, like in the real portal, to display the geostrophic current. So we can switch the order of this layer so that it displays on top. So here we see the streamlines appearing, and then we can change the min-max value of the sea surface temperature here. So either you can do by scrolling, or here we can do just by editing the value of the exact value you want. So this is how we change the color palette. Here we want to put a single color for the streamlines. Okay, so here I will stop the video here, and I will show you the rest. So this is how we can do to draw annotation in SEAScope. So you have a toolbar, as I was showing before, where you have three buttons. So you have the point, the polyline, and the polygon. And so if you click on this one, you can start to draw a polyline and a polygon. And SEAScope is guiding you what are the possible actions you can do. So depending what you press, escape, enter, or the left mouse. So this is how you draw when you draw a point, a polyline, or a polygon. So you first draw it, and then when you're done, you press enter, and then it goes from editing mode to edit mode. So for instance, the point when in editing mode is a green cycle, and then it's a red point. And you see the polygon when it's done, it's the interior of the polygon is painted. So you also have a way to import and export shape. So for instance, I was showing you just before the break how to export a shape in OVL portal. So you could import this shape in SEAScope if you want. So to import is the folder icon, and to export is the disk icon. And so when you import, when you click on import, it will ask you to select the file path, and then it will open a window that allows you to search on your local hard drive and find the actual file, the shape file. So it could be the one that has just been extracted from OVL portal. And then you click on the load, and it will import it directly in you will be able to see it in SEAScope. The same goes for the export. So if you have a shape that you have been drawing in SEAScope and you want to import it, to export it, for example, to go back in OVL portal or everything else, if you select the shape, then you will have a window with a small disk, and if you press on the disk, it will save the annotation, and then you choose the file name that you want to give, and then you press save. So then I will show you how the two-way interaction with Python works. So so here you see on the left you have the SEAScope viewer open. On the right you have a Jupyter notebook open. And then I will show you a small video where we do an interaction between the two. And so here, for this time, we just show you the video, and in the later trainings, that's why you will be using to interact with SEAScope viewer.
J'entends pas la vidéo. Tu la racontes.
Alors, t'enlèves le son.
Ah bah je sais pas faire moi.
Je vais parler.
Voilà. Eux entendent pas le son.
Mais là, ils vont m'entendre.
Bah oui, t'as le micro ouvert.
Can you hear me? Ah, mais
Attends, bah, me pause. Moi j'ai pas le contrôle. Hein.
ouais,
Toi t'as le
okay.
contrôle.
So apparently there is a sound on the video, but it's not playing. So I will do it. But so you have the subtitle, so you can you can read the subtitle. But so here we just drawn a polygon on top of the data that was displayed in SEAScope, and we extracted it. So we see the extraction appear on the SEAScope viewer side. And then once the data has been extracted on the SEAScope viewer side, we go back to the Jupyter notebook and we'll run the Jupyter notebook. So basically, you have some SEAScope. You need to load first of all the SEAScope Python bindings, and then do the extraction. And so we can print the extracted data to check that the right data has been extracted. And then we look at the name of the variables inside the extracted file. So we see that you have the two components of the velocity. And then we'll check that the extracted data are correct. And then we'll do the calculation of the wave current interaction inside the following cell of the Jupyter notebook. So here we check that the zonal and the meridional component of the velocity are extracted. We check the shape of the extracted part of the image. So we see that only the part that are intersecting the polygons has been extracted, and you can plot it inside the Jupyter notebook to check that the correct data has been extracted. So you can, using the mesh grid plot to plot the arrows in the Jupyter notebook. And then we initialize the wave entering into this area, and then perform the wave current calculation, wave current interaction calculation. And then we check that the calculation has been running correctly. So here we see the wave rays, which are the white lines that are distorted when they enter the surface current area. And if the calculation are satisfying, then we can export the results back in SEAScope by creating a new collection of data inside SEAScope. So the Python bindings are used to create this new collection. You just need to give it a new name. And then all the rays are sent one by one in this collection. And then you can define the rendering option of the collection, for example, the color map, the opacity, the vertical location in terms of layering. And then if you select the new collection inside SEAScope, you will see it. Okay, and of course you can change the color bar. You can change all the properties of the new collection as if it was a collection that was imported from the beginning. So here are the wave rays that are distorted by the surface current on top of the current velocity and streamlines inside SEAScope. So once everything is back into SEAScope, you can import more data, you can zoom, you can do any type of check that you want that is much more interactive than what you can do in the Jupyter notebook. Okay.
Okay, everyone, so it's time to practice now. So we have a question from Ines asking if there are some notebook available to train. This one is not specifically on the website, but we have it and we can share it. But there are some notebooks that are available on SEAScope websites so that you can have a look at them. And the next training session that we'll be using SEAScope is actually in February, I think. And the notebook that we will use and the data will be shared few days in advance so that you can also have time to practice. If you want to contact us afterward, we can also send you more materials if you want. And so for the practice, the goal now is to add data to SEAScope. So I have seen on the polls that some of you have succeeded. That's good. We will do it all together for the people that didn't try or didn't succeed in doing it for the next few slides. And then we'll see how we use SEAScope all together. And all the slides are on the SharePoint so that you can also have the slides on your screen. I will be sharing everything we do together. So sometimes you won't see the slides, so it's good if you have them also on your side. And so the download and install, it's just for your information, but for you it's already done because it was part of the bundle that we shared 2 weeks ago. So the first time SEAScope is started, okay. let's do that way. So the first time SEAScope is started, it's creating a configuration file that you can see here. And it will contain many different things, such as the path, and you can do some configuration in it. And that is, we can be discussed more in detail on board when we will be all together. You also have a data directory, and this is where all the data will be contained. The last thing, comment on fait pour retourner en arrière? Ah, okay. The last thing you have is the index.fb that is of interest for you. This is where all the data, the database is stored in here. And so if you encounter any issue, you can delete this index to start fresh if needed. And when you add new data, this index file will be updated with your new data to show in your calendar. So now if we go to the next slide, so I think all of you know how to open SEAScope. So for most of you, it's go to your workspace here in OTC 25, go to the SEAScope directory and click on the SEAScope. And if you have not added the data, the catalog is empty. So to add data, you will go to the light samples that you have downloaded and compress it. And you can do copy, so Control C, and in the data directory, paste. And it will paste all of the data in the data directory that is in SEAScope. So you just have to wait until it's finished. Yad will post a poll to ask you if you have succeeded in adding data in SEAScope. So this is a way for us to know if most of the people succeeded in adding data. You see that my SEAScope has closed because now we are changing the data directory, and so we will have to start SEAScope over so that we make the indexation. So for the Mac user, it's much easier. You open SEAScope like any other application, and then you drag and drop the data without uncompressing it onto the SEAScope icon. If you have an issue with it, we can do a breakout session at the end to show you with a Mac computer. So now you see that on my data directory, I have all the data that are here, which consist of folders and configuration files. And the configuration files have the same name as the folder and contain some description about the rendering that we want on the data. You don't need to change everything. You're all set. You go back to your main SEAScope directory and you start SEAScope, and it will ask you to rebuild the index as some data have changed. So you can say yes, wait a bit for SEAScope to scan all the data that you have added. And now you should have your catalog filled with all the data. So I wait a bit for everyone to get the time to see if most people have succeeded in adding the data. Then we will carry on to learn to use SEAScope, and we will help those who did not manage to do it at the end. And we can also you can also review the video afterwards to catch up with the instruction. All the instructions are also in the slides that we have shared. So okay, I will start slowly. So far, we have 30 people that succeeded in, and only 2 that did not. So maybe the 2 that did not succeed, you can contact us either on the chat or by email so that we can help you afterwards. Okay? Okay. So let's zoom out. And as you can see on the slide, so on the slide, I've tried to add here the catalog, as you can see it on your screen on the left part, so it's a screenshot, and to highlight the product we are going to select to help you. The description of the catalog is written here in the bullet points, and you have also a screenshot of the calendar also to see which date we are going to pick. So we are going to start to select the geostrophic currents from the MADT. And scroll down the ODC global sea surface temperature and go to a date in green. So for example, you can click on 2014 and zoom in an area of interest here. So here both products are quite at low resolution, and so you can see that the streamlines are following nicely the frontal structures and the eddies that are shown in the sea surface temperature. We only are seeing the low resolution part here. So as Fab have shown before, you can adapt the rendering by clicking on the wheel, and you can change the maximum value. For example, let's put 300, enter. Or you can scroll also on the value to make it evolve slowly here. For example, here. Okay. You can also right-click on the color bar to open the color selection panel. Okay, so it's a right-click on the color bar, and you will see a list of color bars you can choose from. So you can try this one, for example. That is nice also for the SSL. You have also some filtering options that you can select to be either nearest, where you can really see the resolution of the data, or interpolate using a bilinear filtering. Now, if you go to the CMEMS Sea Level Streamline products, let's close it. You see that this time you have additional parameters to control the length, the number of particles, the length, and the speed. So you can scroll on each of them to adapt and to have a better rendering. It also will depend on your computer and the power of your computer. As the more particles you put, the more it's gonna ask for your computer to compute. And so you can find a nice trade-off specifically for your computer. When you are happy, you can save if you are happy with it, or reset to go back to the initial parameters. Again, also for the streamline, you can choose to have either a color bar or to change the color selection by clicking on the triangle or clicking on the wheel to choose the best color to really see nicely the streamlines. And so again, to open this panel, you do right click, and then you can click on the triangles and change the color. Okay, so I hope it's okay for most of you. Now we will move on to another test case. So that we did to adapt the rendering, and now we will practice using different data to practice the transparency and to practice also how to display drifters. So when you go back to SEAScope, you can do shift click to deselect everything and select only one product. So if you do shift click on the AOML drifter speed, it will select the AOML drifters there. And you see all the drifters that are globally available. We will then select again the geostrophic current from the MADT. And we will select some VIRS data at the very bottom of the list. And this is sea surface temperature and chlorophyll. You see that you have some green dates, and we want to go to a green date where all the data are available on this date. So we can go to the 30th of December and scroll to zoom in. And here, when you look at the display panel, you see that there is a pound and then a number. It shows you the number of datasets that are available. And we have no CMEMS observation available, whereas the day is green. It's because we are at noon and the observation were valid before noon. So from noon the day before until noon today. And that is why it's not showing. So what you can do is move using the left arrow, you move, and again, this streamline will show. And you see here in the middle, the time where you are looking at the data. If we are zooming in an area, we want to put the streamline on top, so you can drag and drop to put it on top of the other products. And I'm going to reset to have them white again. Okay. Okay, now they are on top. Like with Syntool, you can also play with the transparency, for example, on the chlorophyll. You scroll down and you compare how the SST and the chlorophyll are showing the very nice features that are very fine eddies and that are not always captured by the geostrophic currents, as there is a very low spatio-temporal resolution, as we have seen previously. So this is very similar, actually, where you can see those very nice features in the chlorophyll and SST images, and that does not show on this current. For the drifter, the very last rendering, so you can see again, you click on the wheel, you can see that you can adapt for the drifter the life thickness and other parameters to have the best rendering for your purpose. You have a very nice here drifter with an oscillation. The last thing that we are going to see today in the last few minutes that we have, but it's one of the most important things to learn for the next session, is to learn how to draw a polygon so that we can extract data and send them to the Jupyter later in later session. So you remember that Fab showed on the top panel here the drawing tools. So point, polyline, polygon. We will click on the polygon. And when you click, 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 it will draw a polygon. You don't need to close it because by pressing enter, SEAScope will close the polygon for you. Okay, so instruction are there. And I will do it again for those who did not feel. So if I select it, I can trash it. And let's start over. I click on the polygon. And then I click on every corner that I want to draw my polygon. Enter. Okay. When you click on this polygon, Valentin, are you in South Africa? I don't know if you can unmute yourself. Valentin, can you talk? Okay. And Samantha has the same issue. So are you on the 30th of December 2015 in South Africa here?
Yes,
And you have no data. Like it's gray or it's green?
it's blue like it was before, and I have the number 1 in each. So it should be something, but there is not.
Yeah, so you see that there are data available, but you cannot see them.
Exactly, I don't see any color change or anything that changes when I add this data.
And can you try moving the time span to cover the whole day? Like clicking on the right arrow and change the time span. To see if, like this, for example, it's not there anymore because it's not included in my time span.
Ah.
30th of December 2015.
Yes.
Noon is okay. Noon works for me. What is time and date that is shown here? And
It's exactly the same. It's the 30th of December 2015 at 12.
Okay, and you don't see any verse data. Well, it's showing 1, but it does not display on your screen.
Yes.
Yeah. That is strange. So would you mind sharing your screen in a breakout at the end?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Easy.
Perfect, thanks. Okay. Okay, so for those of you who have the same issue, at the end we will look at the screen of one of you to check what's going on, why it is not showing. And you can say afterwards. For the other one, we will just do a last thing for the polygon. Well, you can still draw the polygon anyway, even if you don't see the data, to check that you know how to draw the polygon. And for the polygon, when it's done, you have, when you click on it, there is this selected annotation panel that opens that enables you to edit, for example, when you click on the edit. And so you can add, for example, a shape and click on edit when you're done. Add a point, sorry, and click on edit when you're done. Or you can move a point if you're not happy with it, and again, click on edit when you're done. You can also edit the time here and click on the refresh button to update your shape. The range time coverage of your shape is the same one as the one of the time span here at the bottom. Okay, and the last thing we see here, you see like this extract button. And this is what is going to be used to send the data to Jupyter Notebook. When you click on it, you see that here on the right panel, extracted data panel opens and shows us all the different data that have been extracted because they were under my polygon. And so this is a mechanism we are going to use later to perform some analysis using Python. Okay, so I think that if it's clear for everyone, you can go back to the slide that we have shared on PDF. What? Oh, yes. Ziad is going to post a poll so that you can check if you have succeeded or not in doing the different features. And so that we know also for the next time if we need to redo some of the lecture. In the meantime, you have all the documentation here that is also available if you want to look at it. The links are on the slides. And of course, you can always contact us or go back to this video to check what's going on.